very very conscious of everyone's time. So I appreciate you guys waiting a couple extra minutes for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you joining us today. Michigan State travels to State College to take on Penn State this Saturday at 3:30. That game will be televised nationally on ESPN. Thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I know Saturday in my post-game press conference, I addressed that our team's performance against Ohio State was totally unacceptable to me, to our players, to our coaches, and certainly not acceptable to our state fans. Process-driven, means, no matter who we play, home or away, ranked or unranked, it's consistent offensively, defensively, and on special teams. We have to have the discipline to do our jobs for 60 minutes, 4 quarters in the game. And that's called complementary football. And that's what we're working toward. That's what we're building. Yes, we are rebuilding the culture here, from behavior modification to neutral thinking, and certainly recruiting is a big part of that. But I don't, and I know our fans don't want excuses. We want results. And so, we're looking forward to Penn State, and going to this game, it's all about execution. All about execution is what it's going to come down to. It will take commitment. It's going to take mental and physical toughness to deliver at our highest level, so we can play to our fullest potential. And we have to do it consistently. Consistency and performance is how you become successful, and we're a very inconsistent football team. I am proud of our team for continuing to come together based upon yesterday's practice. I see the guys are hungry and they want to get better, and that's a great sign. It's an important rivalry game for the land grant trophy. We talked about it yesterday with our players, and we are committed to coaching these guys harder and smarter. And our players are committed to playing harder and smarter. I know, and they know that we can and we will be better. We can play better than what we played. We can be better mentally, and we need to be better physically. There's still better ball ahead for us. Not to be confused with easy. It's going to be tough, but we got to get it out of them. And so, that's what this week is all about. And I feel like our players, they understand that and they want to do that. So we're going to put the work in this week, go through our process on and off the field, and then we'll take it into Saturday. Penn State's got a team that is better than their record. They've gotten better throughout the season. They've got good players. They're very well coached. James does an awesome job. He's got a really good coaching staff. I have a lot of respect for what he's done throughout his career, what he's done there, and, what he's done to build that team. So I want to thank our supporters who continue to support our program. I get a lot of texts. I get a lot of emails. I get a lot of phone calls. And again, I want to thank our medical staff for continuing to give us a chance to practice and play, because the only way we can improve is through practice and playing. That's the only way we can evaluate. Our guys have to be on the field, and they have to be able to play. And so we're going to relentlessly stay on our protocols, on our testing schedules, our behavior modification, so we can continue to practice and to play. So with that, I'll open up for questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start with Chris Solar, the Detroit Free Press.
Mel, good to see you. I know that
You,
you mentioned in rebuilding some of the culture here, recruiting being such a key aspect. James, obviously, in Penn State, has come into Michigan over the course of the last few years, and some of the other programs as well, like Cincinnati and regional programs like Kentucky. How do you, I guess, address these kind of games in particular when you do have the opponent coming into your backyard and taking some top talent?
yeah, it's not about one game. It's really about relationships. Obviously, Penn State, they have a good program, and they've got coaches. One coach in particular on their staff that is from the Detroit area and played in the public school league there and has connections with coaches there that he grew up with and they trust him, and so obviously because they have a good program and they have connections and they have relationships, they're able to go in there and recruit players, and that's what a lot of recruiting is about. That it's about relationships and trust, because you have these young men that have been brought up through Pee Wee, Pop Warner, elementary school, junior high, high school. They've been part of the community, and then then they get to a point where they're been developed to be recruited by Power Five schools, and then they want those players to have the best chance, academically and athletically to succeed. And a lot of times, they'll send players where they feel like they can trust the people there that are going to take care of them, just like they're like they were their own children. When you're sending kids away from home, and so it's a lot about relationships. And so, we're working hard to build the relationships, not just here in the state, but outside of our state, to be able to, get the players that we need to compete to win the Big Ten and get into the playoffs. We do have relationships in our state, and we have relationships outside the state, and we continue to build on those things, and so, and everyone is looking to see, what's different about Michigan State now than in the past, and it doesn't necessarily have to be all about wins and losses. Being in the left-hand column certainly helps, but it's also, what people see in terms of, how the team is being handled, the accountability, and then what players that are on the team, what they're saying.
If you want to update more accurately, it's 4 questions total that are open to.
And it's also players that are in the program, what they're saying to people outside the program, what they're saying back home about what's going on inside the program. And that's really kind of how the word gets out. And then myself and our coaching staff, how we communicate with the high school coaches and with the players, and being authentic and being honest and upfront, and laying it out there and telling them what we have to offer. And it's competition. Recruiting is competition, and a lot of competition is about comparison. And so players and their families and their high school coaches are comparing us to these other schools, and they're making decisions on where they think their players, their student athletes will have the best chance.
As a follow to that, you mentioned on the radio show the other night that you guys haven't had face-to-face contact with these guys in the last couple of months. I guess, how has that, I mean, you talk about the difference in process. I mean, how much have you guys had to alter strategies in terms of, with signing day coming up next week, how to kind of identify these guys and also find out, like what Izzo says, is find your kind of guy?
Yeah, the identification process is the same. The evaluation process is relatively the same, except that you don't get to see the players live. You don't get the live evaluation. You're going on tape and what you see on videotape. We always take input from high school coaches or counselors or anyone that's involved with the player, was their parents or guardians or people in the community that have helped raise the kids and help develop them. And so, but we've had to do all of that on, text messages, phone calls, Zoom, and FaceTime. It's pretty much how we've done that. But we've been at it since March. I mean, it's not anything that's new. It's just the way it is. That's what everyone's doing. And again, if you want to sign 25 guys, it's about an 8-to-1 ratio. So you got to have at least 200 offers out there to do that. And but we offer well over 300 players for each class. And we don't not only do we have like an athletic evaluation and a score on players, which is, you got the height, weight, speed, agility, balance and body control, contact balance, ball skills, change of direction, all those types of things that you see athletically. We evaluate that, but then we also have a fit score to go along with that. That really evaluates the intangibles, things that you don't necessarily see on tape, and we have to talk to high school coaches. We have to talk to various people and ask these questions that, are character related, or, sometimes toughness related, or just certain things. And then we have an athletic score, then we have a fit score, and then we weight it too. And then we decide if this player is a player that's going to fit into our program for what we want to accomplish here. And then those players, we aggressively recruit them, but again, there's no face-to-face interaction, but just like we do every week, every Tuesday we get on a Zoom and you're asking me questions and I'm answering questions. And so you're evaluating me and my demeanor and how I answer questions and how I treat you with respect or not. And you're making a judgment on me and what type of person you think I am, what my competency level is. Do you think that you can trust me and what I'm saying? Do you think that I know what I'm talking about? Do you think that I'm worthy? Do you think that I can build a program? And you can do that through Zoom, the best you can. And then that's what we're doing with recruiting. And then it would obviously be better if you could sit across from me face to face and do that. Then you could probably get even a better feel for my body language or eye contact or certain things like that. And so because we can't do that, it just makes it even more difficult. You have to put more effort into the connection. So that's why, like on these calls here, where normally we may be in the same room doing this, I could be maybe more, bring more brevity to the situation and be more concise with the questions, with the answers. But since we're doing it like this on Zoom, and this is my first year here, and I know you guys are trying to get a feel for me, trying to get a feel for my program, after sometimes going to more detail and give more explanation about what's going on, just so you have the information that you need to do your job, and so that I can convey, my message, to the extent that's necessary.
Thanks, Mel.
Our next question will go to Lindsay Huddleston.
Thank you. Hey, Mel, you mentioned in your opening comments about acknowledging supporters. Most of us on this call on Sunday after the Western Michigan basketball game heard Tom Izzo pretty much stop the press conference and make a point to acknowledge you and ask for people to support you during this rebuilding time. Can you talk a little bit about that relationship with Tom Izzo and what it means to have him make a point to come out publicly to support you through your transition?
Yeah, that's a great question. Coach Izzo and I, speak on a regular basis. Either we communicate by text or call. Sometimes, he'll stop by and I'll get a chance to visit with him, or he'll come to practice. I also talk to Coach Garland. Also talk to Dwayne. Coaches there. I get calls from Cleves. I get text messages from Steve. I get texts and calls from Magic. And that type of deal. So, we have a connection. When I was here before in '97, Tom was here. Obviously I was a GA, but we spent a lot of time, recruiting. We'd be in Nick's basement, and so I got a chance to meet him, see him there, and then I would see him throughout the years. Like when we were at LSU, he'd come down there and check Coach Saban. I would see him there. When Nick's daughter, got married in Tuscaloosa, got a chance to see him there, and some of the other Michigan State people. So, we do have a relationship, and it's not a one-way street. I reach out to him, he's reaching out to me, and we're always constantly talking. I feel like we see a lot of things the same way, just about toughness and hard coaching, and not making excuses and finding a way to get it done, and being appreciative of the opportunity that we do have, and never relaxing, and always fighting and being basically bootstrappers, and so I support him and everything he's doing, and he supports me. And one of the things that I wanted to know, during the process of looking at this opportunity is, where was Coach Izzo on this with me? Because, quite frankly, in order for me to be successful here, I want his, I feel like I want and need his support, because he's been here so long. He's done so many great things. He's a Hall of Fame coach. I can learn a lot from him, and getting support from him, goes a long way for me and for my program, for my coaching staff. And so I really appreciate that. I don't think he would support me if he didn't believe in me, because he's not that type of guy.
Got it. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Our next question is from Matt Charbonneau with the Detroit News.
Hey, Mel, you brought up consistency a lot, and something you guys have yet to attain this year. And I'm wondering, can you pinpoint some of the biggest reasons why it's hard to get that consistency? Is it a new staff? Is it inexperienced players? And what's the key, or what's the best way to try and, improve that as you go along to start to get that consistency?
Yeah, well, there's basically 4 levels of competency. Okay, and the first level is you don't know, and you don't know you don't know. So that's where you start. You get past that, and then you get to the point where you don't know, but you don't know. Okay, and that's when the players start to realize, okay, I don't know exactly what I thought that I knew, but I realized that, so now I want to be coached. And then they're hungry for the information. They're hungry for the coaching. They want you to pour into them, because they realize they don't know how to do it. Okay, but they know that you can teach them, and then they're really bought in, and they're digging in. Okay, then the next level of competency is, they do know, and they do know they're having success, but they don't know why. They're not exactly sure why a play was successful or why they were able to get the job done. They just know that it happened. And in that level, that third level of competency, is that they're often doing the right things, often doing the right behaviors, and that creates some success, but they're not exactly sure thoroughly why they're having a success. And so when you're at that point, then it's hard to repeat it because you don't know why you had the success. You don't know the details. So it's hard to repeat it, and it's hard to teach it to someone else, and it's hard to share. And that makes it hard to lead. Okay. So, and then the last level is, the fourth level is you do know, and you know why you know. Okay. And so, but even at that point, even if you know what to do and you know why it's important to do it that way and you understand it, you still have to do it. You still have to do it. So I can give you an example like nutrition. Okay. We have a great understanding of, from a nutrition standpoint, like what I should, if I want to be fit, you know, and I don't want to be overweight, or I want to be healthier. I know what I should eat and what I shouldn't eat, and I know why, but I still have to make the decision on a daily basis. And that's not, as we know, that's not always easy to do. So then that's where the consistency comes in. So right now we're somewhere between level 3 and level 4 with certain guys. And that's why we have to continue to teach, motivate, and develop, so guys understand fully, have the discipline to do their jobs, know what they're supposed to do, know how to do it, when to do it, why it's important to do it that way, do it on a consistent basis, and it becomes habit, and that becomes it's behavior, it's day-to-day behavior, which is culture. It's how we live day to day. And so that's a process, and it takes time. And so that's why we see inconsistency. And the only way to become more consistent is to continue to, hammer on those things, those fundamental things, go over and over and over and over again, change the stimulus, change the drill, find a different way to emphasize the same thing, show them NFL film, showing them doing it right, showing them doing it wrong, whatever it is, come to them in a different way, delivery of information. Maybe it's video, maybe it's more walkthrough, maybe it's on paper, whatever it is, capturing guys' minds so you can get more consistency, so they can understand and they can repeat it and have the confidence to be able to do it no matter who they're playing, no matter who the opponent is, and having the confidence to do that. So that's where we are. And that's where the work comes in. And that's why it's a process. And it is not easy, but we know what we need to do. We know how we need to do it. We just have to continue to hammer at it. And then recruiting is a big part of that as well. And so that's how we get there, and it's and we're built for that. That's what this staff is built to do. So we knew it wasn't going to be easy, but that's the challenge. And, that's you better love it, because if you don't love it, and that's not the type of challenge you want, then it's not the situation for you.
Do you lump in some of the discipline things with that, like some of the penalties, especially we saw last week? Is that part of it too, of knowing where that line is of going too far, playing hard, and then not being disciplined on a penalty?
Yeah, that's a part of it as well. Just like, I showed the players a plan of the playing field yesterday, and we're going to pass out one to every single player today that shows the playing field and the dimensions of the field. From the sideline to the bottom of the numbers is 7 yards, to the top of the numbers is 9 yards. Between the hashes and 10 is 10 yards. The hash marks of 1 yard is 13 1/3 between the hashes. and all that. So if I'm tackling a guy and I'm driving a guy, you know, I need to have awareness of where I am on the field. And once I get to the numbers, I know I got about 7 more yards to go before I get to the sideline, which is about 3 or 4 more steps, you know, and just having awareness of where you are on the field and being alert to the whistle and things like that, and then knowing when to pull off. So that's all about, you know, teach, you know, motivate, develop, and everything, and then you confront and demand guys. You confront guys when they do it, when they don't do it right, and you demand that they do it right. But you also have to try to find ways to give them more tools so that they can understand. And so, you know, that's part of coaching. But I do like aggressive play, and we categorize our penalties. You know, we have foolish penalties. You know, we have aggressive penalties. And like pre-snap penalties, jumping off sides. You got 12 guys on the field, you know, false starts, you know, illegal formations, pre-snap penalties, you know, those things right there, you know, you shouldn't ever have those. That's just dumb. You know, that's just a total lack of discipline. Then you get aggressive penalties, okay? Maybe it's a pass interference, or maybe you might get a offensive hold where a guy's straining to sustain a block, or maybe you might get maybe a late hit on the quarterback that's a bang, something that's a judgment call or something like that. And when you get those, then and they're aggressive penalties, then you have to coach through those through technique, you know, maybe better technique or better understanding. And then you work through those things. And so we categorize those penalties and we address them as such. And, you know, this particular, our penalty, the past couple, you know, our penalties had gone down. You know, we were, I think maybe Northwestern, maybe we had 46 yards and like, you know, total yardage lost on penalties. But this past week we were up over 100 yards in penalties, you know. And so what is that attributed to? You know, and then we break everyone down, we address them, and then we move forward. But every 100 yards in penalties is about 7 points. You know, so, you know, penalties, you know, will get you beat. You know, especially you know, dumb penalties, and then aggressive penalties we're gonna coast through. I'd rather coast through aggressive penalties, okay, than some of those other type of penalties, because we can fix those.
Thanks, Mel.
Next question will go to Matt Wenzel with M Live.
Hey, Mel, following Saturday's game, you said you didn't have an update on Rocky. I was wondering if you do now, his status for this week and the direction at quarterback with Peyton and what he showed this past week.
Yeah, he seemed to be doing better yesterday. And so we're going to go through, we're evaluating everything. We're going to go through today, and hopefully I'm anticipating sometime by the end of the day tomorrow, we'll know, you know, who we're going to go with. And then we'll do that. But we're still in the evaluation process right now.
And obviously with the NCAA giving everybody an extra year, I was wondering, are there any seniors you expect to have back for another year next season?
Yeah, there's some that may come back, but we'll just have to see, because, you know, everyone's going to make a decision what's based upon their best interest. And that's kind of how it goes nowadays. And so, you know, it's really a fluid process, and, you know, we'll take it on an individual basis, and then we'll make decisions on those guys. Guys will make decisions if they want to come back or not. You know, it's just a collaborative effort and it's communication. And so, you know, we'll just have to see.
And if you don't mind, another quick one, just how many do you expect most of your guys, your recruits in the 21 class, to sign next Wednesday?
Yeah, you know, we'll see. You know, the indication is most of the guys that are committed, you know, will sign, but you know, we'll just have to see. You know, recruiting is fluid, and you never know until you know. You know, and you know, they're not signed until they're signed. but we're willing to fight for our guys, for the guys we want, through the 16th and beyond, all the way through to February, all the way into the 11th hour. The hay is never in the barn. So, we're not adverse to competing and fighting for guys. It's not okay just to say, oh, well, he doesn't want to come, so we'll go to the next guy. If that's the guy that we want, we feel like we can still get him, then we need to fight for him and try to get the guy. And then if we can't get the guy, then we go to the next guy. But we're going to fight for guys. I like to get as many guys signed in December as we can, and then we'll go from there. We do have a plan in terms of how we're going to address transfers in the portal as well, because the portal is a viable market to be able to help your team. And so we're also aggressively evaluating the portal and who's available there on a day-to-day basis. That's a big part of what we do in recruiting.
Thanks, Mel.
Yep, you're welcome.
Our next question will go to John with the Detroit Sports Podcast.
Hey, Mel, good afternoon. I'm curious, you talked about the coaching staff put together by Coach Franklin. I'm just curious about your general impressions of Coach Brent Pry's defense and what challenges they may present to your offense.
Those guys fly around and they got a good pressure package. They seem to be able to, play to the strength of their players, and they're able to mix some coverages and things like that. And they seem to be, growing and getting better. I mean, you look at Coach Franklin, he's a guy. I mean, the guy's really, really smart. Obviously, he's got good experience. And he's had success, and you're not gonna be on his staff. You're not gonna coach for him if you don't know what you're doing. All the guys that he has on the staff are good coaches that are competent guys that know ball. They know how to coach. They know how to recruit, and so that's what a good staff should be about, and he has that. So they present some challenges and they're aggressive, and we'll have to find ways to put our guys in a position where we can make plays, where we can possess the ball, and where we can put points on the board.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question will go to Jason Hutton with Fox 17.
Hey, Coach. I'm just wondering what Tyler Hunt has meant to your team this year. You don't often see a punter converted to tight end, and he's got a lot of playing time for you guys this year.
Yeah, I like Tyler. He's athletic. He's quick. He's fast. He's a willing blocker. He gives excellent effort. And he competes. And obviously, we needed some help with that position. We were extremely thin there. And so, Coach Gilmore has worked, very hard to really teach him how to play that position. And, he's gotten himself to a point where we feel comfortable putting him in the game. And he's going to, he's targeted. And also, he gives great effort in terms of blocking and things like that. And the guy works extremely hard. I have a lot of respect, for him and what he's done and the way he goes about his business and the way he works. I mean, his care factor is high. If it on a scale from 1 to 10 of caring, and if 1 is you don't care very much, and 10, it's very important to you and you care a whole bunch. Like he's a 10 on his care factor. And so, you can work with guys like that. Like I said, this is when I got here on February 12th, I told the guys, I said, listen, everybody's got a clean slate, and, it's, we're going to play the best players, and everyone's got an opportunity to show what they can do. We don't care if you're a freshman, a senior, you're a walk-on, you're on scholarship. You know, if you love football, I like you. If you're willing to run and hit, and you're coachable, you know, we'll do everything we can to find a role for you. And he's a guy that, you know, has worked himself into a role, and he works every single day. He's never complacent. I've never seen him take a play off. And he's hungry, and he plays with a chip on his shoulder. Okay? And to me, you know, that's what a football player is.
Thank you.
Our next question will go to Stephen Brooks with 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Mel. Excuse me. Hey, Mel. Going into your last regular season game here, what area or areas would you say you've noticed the biggest improvements from the start of the season, or the most growth?
I was just talking to the team yesterday, and you know, talking to the staff today, and talking to Coach Els. You know, like our coverage unit, like on our kickoff, has improved. You know, earlier in the year, it was kind of like a sieve. You know, you kick off, and I mean, you know, guy catch the ball, and he was just running, and it was like just a lot of room there, and that's gotten better. And then our return game, like our kickoff return game, we're starting to show some signs of life there. You know, I know someone mentioned last week that, you know, that we fair caught some kickoff returns and whatever, but, you know, we also returned some and got some return yardage. We're starting to get blocks, sustained blocks, starting to get some knockdowns, and starting to create some room for our skill guys that we have that can actually, you know, pop one if we give them enough room. So, you know, that's something that you know, we're continuing to work on. We really need to work and improve our punt return game. And then, you know, we're also making some strides in our punt game. You know, we're doing some different things. And we're working with our gunners and trying to get better coverage and things like that, because that has a lot to do with the field position. Because, you know, really in some of these earlier games where we were, you know, and where we weren't having success, you were looking at, we analyzed the drive start analysis, the average drive start for us and our opponent, and like our average drive start was like our 20, and their average drive start was like on the 40. In our past two games has been about the same. So that shows me that we're doing a better job on special teams, like in terms of the return game and coverage. And that's just one area. I could talk all day about some of the other areas, whether individual guys or things in certain run schemes or defensive schemes or whatever, but I've seen some improvement there. You know, I've also seen, you know, improvement, you know, on our offensive line, you know, with some of the things that we've been able to do there, you know, with Matt being out, and then, you know, Buter's been banged up, you know, so, you know, with Nick coming in and doing some things there, JD, you know, coming in and, you know, growing in that way. And then, you know, what some of our tackles with Jarvis and AJ, you know, what they've been able to get done over there, you know, I kind of see, you know, I see some, you know, I see in Carrick, you know, working through some things. You know, I'm starting to see, you know, there's a no excuses, no explanation type mentality with those guys. And I'm starting to see we're starting to see some push in the run game, and also some cleaner pockets in pass protection. So that's been good. And I've also seen, us in the run game, finish some runs. I like to see us finish some more, but like in the Northwest again, I saw us finish some runs where like when we started camp and guys would run the ball, they would get yards and they get to the sideline and they would run out of bounds. They would just, get what they could get and dip out of bounds. And then we immediately confronted that and demanded that they get every yard that they can get unless it's a 2-minute situation where we got to stop the clock. And so when I see things like, a guy get a ball, he's run up the sideline and there's nowhere to go, lower your shoulder, get your shoulder down, keep the ball high and tight, and try to run a guy over and fall forward for 2 yards and things like that. That seems like something small, but that's a big thing because that's a mindset. That's mental toughness. That's physical toughness. And it's also, we're trying to advance the ball and get as many yards as we can get. So I'm seeing some things there, like from a toughness standpoint and straining standpoint. Those are some things that I'm seeing. I'm also seeing some younger guys. We got a lot of first-time starters, guys that never really had any significant playing time. They're getting out there and starting to settle down a little bit and starting to get into a point where they can get a call, get lined up, and play fast. Kind of some on-the-job training. And so we're making some strides there, but obviously it's not good enough, So, I don't want to go overboard about what with some of the improvements that we've been making, when after you just get blown out. But I do see some, as a coach and as a coaching staff, I do see some improvements here and there and that's what makes me feel like, preparing for games. I feel like if we do certain things, we'll have a chance to win the game if we do those things, because I do see the improvement. And when we don't do those things, I'm very disappointed. I'm very upset about it because I know that we're capable of being better.
Thank you.
Just time for just a couple more. We'll go to Graham Couch with the Lansing State Journal.
Hey, Mel, I'm wondering, as you evaluate your 2 quarterbacks, and then even as you evaluate a quarterback in recruiting, what are the most important traits you're looking for? And when you see these 2 guys on a Saturday and you look at the film on Sunday, what are the things that win you a starting job with these guys or don't?
Yeah, your quarterback has to be the number 1 competitor on your team, period. That's what he's got to be. And if you look at the best quarterbacks in the country or the best quarterbacks in the NFL, they are the number 1 competitor on the team, or at least on the offense, and it's obvious. And they're leaders, and they have command of the offense, and they have mental toughness. The next thing is, you have to have accuracy. You have to be able to deliver the ball accurately. And you like guys to be able to win outside of numbers. We like guys, they can go through a read of a route progression and go through a progression and read some things out, and to be able to read defenses. We like guys that can be able to recognize fronts and coverages and be able to get us in and out of, get us out of bad plays and get us into better plays at the line of scrimmage. So we like guys that are smart, that are football guys that will study the game, and then have the poise and the patience, to be able to go out and execute, when it's tough and when it's full speed and when you're on national TV and millions of people watching, you need to be able to have the poise to be able to take it from the practice to the game. But first and foremost, your quarterback better be your number 1 competitor on your team, and that's what I look for. we talk about quarterbacks, what type of competitor is he, you know, and will he outcompete everyone on the team? Will he give that effort to be the number one competitor? And so, there's a few things there. We have a list of criteria for every position. What you're looking for by position. Offense, defense, things like that, specialists, and try to check those boxes. Plus that fit score that we talked about, which talks about those intangibles and things like that. So.
Our last one will go to Stone with 97-1 the ticket in Detroit. Looks like we're having some audio issues.
What was that?
There.
I think you were speaking groups. It sounded like that was a group.
Sorry, Stoney. We tried. If Justin Rose is on here, I think he had one last question. If we can get one more in from Justin. If he's still
Yeah, hopefully my audio is a little better than Stoney's is, Mel. The land grant trophy, it's often been recognized as the ugliest rivalry trophy in college football. Your thoughts on the land grant trophy?
Yeah, I haven't evaluated the aesthetics of the trophy. I would like to have it. I would like to have it, but obviously they're not just going to give it to us, so we're going to have to earn it. But ugly trophies, ugly babies, you want to have them.
Thanks, Mel. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, that looks like all the questions we have. So, Coach, thanks for joining us. We'll have players here shortly. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys coming on every week. Appreciate you waiting an extra 8 minutes for me today. It's always enjoyable for me. I actually look forward to visiting with you guys, contrary to popular belief, because all you guys do a great job. You're all professional, and I appreciate the questions. And the tougher the questions, the better. So keep them coming. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Stay safe. Don't let your guard down, man. COVID-19 is still very, very strong out there. Stay healthy. Go green.
Thanks, Mel.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Mel. Take it easy.
Take it easy, guys.
Thanks, Mel.
We'll have players on in a couple minutes. Thank you.
Don't take any wooden nickels.
All right, we'll have Drew Beasley first. He'll be on here in just a minute.
Hey, Ben, is he going to be on the Spartan Vision link, or does he have his own?
No, he'll be on his own. He's in the
Okay.
football building right now. All right, we're joined by defensive end Drew Beasley. Drew, thanks for taking the time today. We have about 10 minutes for Drew for questions, and we'll get started with questions in the chat that you might have for Drew. Our first question will go to Chris Solar, the Detroit Free Press. Chris?
Hey, Drew, good to see you. One of the things over the last few months that we've kind of seen with this program is the ability to get to the quarterback. I guess talk about what have you guys tried to do in terms of getting the pass rush and how it interconnects with what you're doing in coverage in that 4-2-5.
Well, part of it is, being on the same, us as ends, being on the same page as the D tackles and, just being able to rush together, covering each other's backs. If someone shoots their shot, you got to make sure someone got your back. And in the back end, we just got to make sure that, if the quarterback or the running back does get out, that they're there to make the play. So all of it is everybody doing their job, doing their 111th. And, we've proven that we've done that before, and we're capable of beating good teams. So we're capable of playing at a high level. We just got to do it on a consistent basis.
As a follow for you, as a senior with the ability to maybe come back next year, have you kind of thought through that or talked about it at all?
That is something I've given some thought, but that's something I need to talk to Coach Tuck and the rest of the coaches about. So I can't comment on that yet.
Thanks, Drew.
Yep.
Our next question will go to Matt Wenzel with M Live.
Hey, Drew, we talked to you, I think it was before the season or something like that. Time's kind of warped now, but, obviously the opportunity for you this season was there to take over a bigger role. I think you're tied for first on team in sacks, second in TFLs. I guess, how do you evaluate your own play through 6 games?
Well, I feel like, I'm proud of what I've accomplished this season so far, but at the same time, the wins and losses is what matters the most to me. And, us as a team, we haven't gotten it done. And, we're capable of better. Like I said before, we played at a high level and we've beaten good teams. And, like I said, I'm just not satisfied. Just the wins and the losses matter.
And after Saturday's game, Mellon City told all you guys to watch film that night and start immediately getting prepared for Penn State. Obviously, the consistency thing is something that he's been harping on. I guess, what did you see from the team coming back to practice after last weekend?
Well, yesterday, everybody definitely felt like they seemed to have a little fire ignited inside of them after this past game. I was very upset with the result because I know we're capable of playing better and mistake-free. And, I don't know, it's definitely is a lesson learned here. And sometimes failure can be your greatest teacher.
Thanks, Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Next question will go to Noah Trister from the AP.
Yeah, hi, Drew. We're kind of winding down the season now, and I guess are you able to reflect? I guess is there one or two overarching things that you think of the most when you think of what Mel Tucker and his new coaching staff have brought to the program and sort of what their coaching style has been like and so forth?
Well, they definitely bring a sense of energy, this energy I've never felt before. And, regardless of if you're up by 20 or down by 20, whatever the case may be, you finish the game, you play all 60 minutes and you just go all out and, give it all your effort and give a relentless effort.
When he's with us on these Zoom calls, he gives sort of very thorough, detailed answers to a lot of questions. He doesn't mind going into a lot of detail. Is that kind of how he is behind the scenes with you guys as well?
Yeah, because, focusing on the details is, it seems like the littlest thing, but it's important. And, taking care and taking all those details into account will potentially make the difference from winning a game or losing a game, from stopping the offense to get a first down or not. That might win the game, whatever the case may be. It's a game of inches and the details matter.
Thanks.
Our next question will go to Audrey Dahlgren with WLNS.
Hi, Drew. After the game on Saturday, Tucker was mentioning that, he was very thankful for the fact that you guys have another game to play because he didn't want to end the season on that note. And from your perspective, I guess, where do you stand with that? And what do you want to accomplish to make it feel like this regular season is a success?
Well, I definitely feel that, if that were the last game of the season, I'd be very disappointed because that's not the way, me and my fellow seniors would like to be sent out. But, right now we're just looking to end the season on a high note and potentially keep our season going with a bowl game if that is in our destiny. And that all starts with Penn State this Saturday.
Thank you.
Next question will go to Stephen Brooks with 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Drew. I wanted to ask you, what areas as a defense do you feel like you guys have improved in the most over the course, from Rutgers to now going into the last regular season game?
I think we started to understand Coach Hazelton's concept of rushing together and, covering each other's backs. If someone's gonna try to make a move, you got to talk to your buddy, make sure he's got your back so that the quarterback doesn't, break the pocket or get out of contain, which is, I feel like, something we kind of struggled with this past Saturday and we need to do a better job of. But, overall, I feel like the D-line as a whole working together is something that we've improved upon since Rutgers.
And does Coach Hazelton spend much time with the D-line in practice? I think back in August, he mentioned that would be something he wanted to do a lot. Is he with you guys much? And if so, are there anything new he's brought to the table that technique-wise or anything like that you picked up on?
I mean, he works with the D-line a lot as a whole. And, he tries to spread out his time, on whenever period is 7-on-7, team run, team base. He tries to get everybody together so that they can understand what their job is and how that works and how the whole defense is supposed to be ran. And, against any opposing offense that we might encounter.
Got it. Thank you.
Our next question will go to Jim Comparoni with Spartan Magazine.
Hey, Drew, when you came to Michigan State as a walk-on, did you ever doubt that you could make it? And when did you realize that you could do this? What were the keys along the way that you could play the way you're playing?
Well, I was very hesitant when I made the decision because, part of it was, I was kind of this 6'2", 215 kid, kind of scrawny, didn't know if I was going to have the size to play in the Big Ten. And, I felt like, once I started working with Coach Manny, I could put that weight on and that size, no problem. And, a lot of it isn't necessarily physical, but more mental, focusing on your job and understanding what your reasoning is to do your job. And so that helps, other guys do their job and, everybody works as a collective unit.
And how gratifying is it to get it done?
It's definitely very, very satisfying when the defense works on a certain play, but then you kind of have to have a quick memory and then focus on the next one and then just keep going, which ultimately ends up winning us games. And then that at the end of the day is the most gratifying thing.
All right, one other thing, you guys just faced a special quarterback who could turn a good defensive coverage into just running around and gaining yards. What did you guys learn when you watched the film? Some plays can't be made because he's so athletic, but what did you learn about what could have been done better to corral him? Because not the same level quarterback, but you've got another running quarterback this weekend, or a quarterback that can make a defense pay if they're not all together. What did you guys learn?
Well, yeah, like I said before, we just got to learn how to rush together because we knew going in that, he makes plays with his feet, once his first read isn't there, and he's able to extend plays when, for example, when there was a bad snap and he was able to break the pocket for the first down, it's just stuff like that, little things like that we can control ourselves.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Final question for Drew. We'll go back to Chris Solar, the Detroit Free Press.
Yeah, it kind of actually works right into where I was going to go with this. You kind of run us through that sack turn penalty of aggression that kind of Coach Tucker talked about. And when you looked at back on film, what did the ref tell you, first of all? And what did you see when you looked at it back?
Well, when he threw the flag, I thought it was for grounding at first because I didn't see anyone in the area of where he threw it, and he seemed like he was in the pocket. But with the way this game has changed and protecting the quarterback, I kind of understand why they threw the flag on me. And me being the competitive guy I am, I'm kind of very upset about it at the time. But at the same time, I understand the game's changing, and they're going to protect the quarterback.
It just as a follow to that, the line that Coach Tucker talks about in between being aggressive and taking dumb penalties. I guess as a player, can you kind of define what that is?
Well, some dumb penalties are, something that we can control. Not jumping off sides. That's a dumb penalty. False start. That's a dumb penalty. That's something that we can control just by being disciplined. And other penalties, like a PI or whatever the case may be, that's something that's an aggressive penalty, and that's basically the flip of a coin, whether it's called or not. So, we as a team, we have to do is limit the dumb penalties, and the rest will take care of itself.
Thanks, Drew. Really appreciate it. Good luck Saturday against Penn State.
Thank you, guys. Stay safe. Go green.
Thanks, Drew.
Thanks, Drew.
All right, I'll have Tyler Hunt call in here shortly. All right, Tyler will be joining us here momentarily. All right, we're joined by tight end Tyler Hunt. Tyler, thanks for taking the time today before you head over to the building for some meetings and practice. We'll start questions from Jason Hutton with Fox 17. Jason?
Hey, Tyler, I'm wondering when the idea of you moving to tight end, how did it come about? What was your reaction to it? And did you think you'd ever be where you are right now?
So the idea of me moving to tight end, it's kind of been on my mind to switch positions for the past couple of years now. I felt like I was a pretty decent athlete and could do more things than just kicking and punting the ball. But the idea of tight end actually didn't come about until this quarantine, actually. I was just at home working out, put on some weight, and kind of just asked Coach Tressel what he thought of the idea. And he put me in contact with Coach Gilmore, and the ball kind of started rolling from there. And then we went up to practices and summer workouts, and they saw what I could do. And now they're utilizing me in ways that they see could help the team. So I'm pretty happy with where I am right now. To be honest, I didn't think I was going to see the field much, just switching from punter, because, you don't see that very often. But I'm happy where things are and can't wait to see what else happens.
And how did playing at a small school like Gobles help prepare you for the underdog role at Michigan State and all the hurdles you've had to overcome?
So playing at Gobles High School, I think I graduated with 67 kids, and our football team probably only had about 20 on it. We had no JV. And so I think what really helped me coming from a small town like that is you get a lot of like one-on-one personal coaching. So the coaches were always, on my back, just trying to get me to play as hard as I can all the time. You get a lot of leadership roles out there as well. I was on the varsity team for 4 years, so being a captain for 3 of those, I think it really prepared me for my role now at Michigan State. And just a lot of adversity comes with it, having a leadership role all the time. So I think I'm pretty well equipped to handle anything that comes my way as far as football standpoint, and just having a great mindset. My coaches in high school definitely prepared me well for that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next question, we'll go to Chris Solari, the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Tyler, I got a few rapid fire here real quick for you. First of all, did you throw a touchdown or a 2-point conversion with your left hand?
I did. A while ago.
Second, how far can you throw the ball with each hand?
Right hand is probably around like 70 yards, I'd say. And then left-handed is like 50.
How far did you kick off through the goal posts and was it somewhere in Kalamazoo? Did you kick one into the trees?
Yeah, Gobles High School. We played Kalamazoo United, and their field back there was lined with trees. And so I think just about every ball found its way back there.
Okay, so the big question is, how do you assess your own talents? When you've got the ability to do all those kind of things, first of all, why were you a walk-on? And second of all, how much does now having a specific position help hone some of that?
I think having a lot of talents comes from kind of how I grew up. I grew up with 12 other siblings and not a very big house. So we were we're outside all the time and just doing different sports constantly out in the backyard playing catch. Just making up games of our own. And I think that's where I got a lot of my athleticism from. And I think it's helped me in a lot of sports. I played everything from wrestling, soccer, baseball, basketball, go out there and play tennis and stuff on the courts. And so I think that's helped me in a lot of areas, especially like hand-eye coordination and footwork and stuff like that. All those skills kind of transfer over from one sport to the other. And so I think that's really helped me. It also helped growing up with four older brothers that, how older brothers are. So I think that really helped me a lot. And they would not take it easy, let me tell you.
Thanks.
So it was a lot of fun growing up. Yeah, no problem.
Our next question will go to Eli with the State News.
Hey, Tyler, I was just curious, these last 2 games, you were able to step into that starting role. I mean, how have you felt about your performance in those couple of games, and then stepping into a role like that where you maybe haven't had a role like that since you've been at Michigan State? How have you felt kind of stepping into a role like that in these past couple of games?
I feel pretty good about it. I kind of had a similar situation to this when I had to punt. I came on the team as a kicker, and then when one guy goes down, it's the next man in line steps up. And I think the coaches do a good job of letting us know that, your time can come at any point, and you got to take the opportunities that you get, and you got to run with them and, show everybody what you got. So.
Our next question will go to Rico Cooney with Spartan Magazine.
Hey, Tyler, how you doing this afternoon?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Hey, Coach, in talking about you, kind of gave us a hint that you're a guy who walks around with a chip on his shoulder, and I'm guessing a lot of that came from being a small town guy that a lot of people didn't believe in, and as you just mentioned, your older brothers. Is there a situation where you can remember back in those days where that chip started to develop, either through playing high school ball or being out in the yard with your brothers?
Yeah, I think, growing up, small town, there's not a lot of big names out there, but there's some names that definitely stand out. And my brothers were the first in my family to come to Gobles and play high school ball, and they were the first people, I would say, to really get the Hunt name out there. And growing up in Gobles, it's a pretty big tradition school, just like Michigan State, tough-nosed football. And I think when it first came to me, that I had to walk around on a chip on my shoulder, not only for me and my brothers, but for also our last name. And so I'm not going to lie, when I first got on the varsity team, everybody was probably like 50 pounds bigger than me. And so it took a couple years to finally, get that chip back on my shoulder and get that, we like to call it the dog mentality. And so I would say after I had enough of, older kids, even my brothers, kind of just messing around with me, finally I got a little bit bigger than them. And then that's when that dog started showing up.
So I'm guessing then there was a point where Tyler Hunt was tired of being punked.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Next question will go to Matt Wenzel with M Live.
Hey, Tyler, I guess somewhat along those lines, we just talked to Mel Tucker, and he said that your care factor is a 10 out of 10. I was wondering how would you assess his view of that?
I think I'm a guy that, I think it's been shown that no matter what my role is on the team, whether it's scout kickoff, just kicking the ball to returners, stepping in as a punter, being a scout team on offense, or if it's starting at tight end, my mentality is to attack every day and, show what a guy from a small town can do. And, whatever my role is, I'm going to go 100% in whatever I do. And that's just the way I was raised. That's the way my family was raised.
And you mentioned, how the move to tight end came about, and you said you really didn't think you'd see the field that much. If somebody had told you a year ago that the first rushing touchdown Michigan State would score this year would come from you on a jet sweep, what would be your reaction to that?
I'll tell them that they would never call that play in a million years at tight end.
Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah, no problem.
Our next question will go to Noah Triss for the AP.
Yeah, hi, Tyler. We're kind of winding down the season here, and I'm wondering if you reflect at all on Coach Tucker's first season, and I guess if there's anything about him or this coaching staff that and their impact or their coaching style that maybe people don't know about.
First off, I gotta say that the coaching staff does a really great job. I love all the coaches, and their coaching style is pretty unique, I would say. They make sure, whatever problems you have, they make sure to address them before those problems melt in and be other problems. And they're really personable coaches, and I think for the first time in my playing career, the coaches actually took the time to get to know the players' backstory, get to know about their family. We had to do research on all of our other players and go in and ask their families. For example, Parks Kissinger on the team, we didn't know until this summer was a really good dancer, and so just doing all those personal things makes you really get to know your teammates well, and I think it's formed a lot of camaraderie, especially amongst the tight end group. I think we got a good solid group going, and I think everybody cares about each other.
When was that? That you had to do research on each other? Was that during the off season?
Yeah, it was during quarantine Zoom meetings, so it was actually pretty cool, and we found out a lot of things about our teammates that we had no idea.
We have time for a couple more. We'll go to Stephen Brooks at 24/7 Sports, and then Jim Comparoni. Stephen?
Hey, Tyler. Are you doing any more kicking or punting these days, or when was the last time you did any of that?
Yeah, I still go out every once in a while, make sure I can hit a ball farther than your average guy could. Most of it comes just not actually taking full kicks or anything like that, but stretching and going through drops, punting the ball. So I'll go through my drops, go through my steps. When the guys are kicking field goals, I'll visualize going through my steps and what I would do if I was out there kicking the ball.
Is that kind of on your own time, after or before practice, or is it during the actual special teams portions too?
Yeah, most of it comes in my own time, and then whenever I'm not in blocking the protection for field goal, I'll stand back, I'll visualize what he's doing, visualize what I would do, and just go from there.
And then do you miss that part of it at all? Are you pretty happy with your job these days? And what was that process like of learning tight end? I mean, you always hear it's a very complicated position given the nature of it and everything.
Right. I mean, there's certain natures of kicking and punting that I miss. Obviously, I don't get to spend as much time with the guys, the specialists. So that's something I miss. But I do enjoy playing tight end. I think there's a bigger role in, that I can play at tight end as far as being able to catch the ball, run the ball. The transition, it actually wasn't that bad. I think Coach Gilmore did a really good job, and Coach Johnson, of explaining the offense, going through different progressions that we have. And then it also helps. I'm roommates with two of the quarterbacks on the team, so any questions I have, I'll go to them and they'll explain it to me and make sure, my head's right and I know what I'm doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Last question will go to Jim Comparoni with Spartan Magazine.
Hey, Tyler, congratulations on your success. Can you take us through your recruiting process a little bit? How did Michigan State find out about you? when and how did they contact you? Who was the coach involved, and what other opportunities you may have had at the time? Could you take us through that process, please?
Yeah. So coming out of high school, I actually only had I think 2 or 3 offers from schools. Eastern Michigan reached out to me, and Saginaw Valley State and Northern Michigan Tech reached out to me to come punt and play safety for them. I think I had 1 email to Michigan State, and I knew I wasn't getting recruited by them. They probably didn't even know what my name was at the time. So I emailed them. I think it was just a mass email that went out to the Michigan State football email, and it was just like, hey, here's my highlight video. I know you had tryouts coming up, and I would love to attend. And eventually they really reached out to me. Mark Staten, he was the recruiter from my area at the time. I sent him a personal email, and he reached back out to me and told me the dates of when the tryout was happening. And so without an offer, without really any interest, I came to Michigan State. It was more of a financial and family situation. And so I came to Michigan State as a student. Was a regular student for a couple weeks until I finally made the team in 2017 when we played Notre Dame. That was my first game. And so I went to the tryouts, ended up having a good tryout, and they called me back the next day to come back and be ready for practice.
So you had already enrolled as a student pretty much before they saw you try out. When you say tryout, you're
Yeah.
not talking about like a summer camp tryout. You're talking about enrolled as a student tryout, right?
Right. Yeah. I never went to any of the camps. None of that. I think the word they used was street walk on. Someone they just don't know about shows up.
And you tried out as a kickoff specialist or across the board, or what did you try out?
During the time, I don't think I tested as well in 40-yard dash or anything like that. I didn't have great numbers, great size, or anything like that. So I just had a highlight film that showed what I could do, showed that I was an athlete, and then came to the tryout and had a pretty good 2 days of tryouts.
And the tryout was just kicking off or everything?
It was mostly field goals and kickoff, and then some punting was there too.
All right, you said during quarantine you decided to try working on tight end. During quarantine, who helped you with the pass catching part of it? Who threw balls to you?
My brother Travis. He's got a workout facility out in his garage. He's got just weights and a bench basically, and he was out there every day with me, making sure I was getting my work in. We bought some extra lifting equipment. He'd take me out and just have me do all sorts of receiving drills, blocking drills, and just sling balls at me all day.
And at that time, I mean, you conceivably could have competed for and won the job as a punter at that time.
Mm-hmm.
That was open. So was that a tough decision, or did you think you could maybe take a shot at both? How difficult was that decision?
I think it actually took me about a week to build up enough courage to actually ask them to switch positions, because I knew the situation going in, that we didn't have a starting punter at the time, and I was on the list of potential next person up, and so I just decided that I think tight end would be a better fit for me. It matches my my mindset more, I think, my personality. And so I like to be in the action, and I think punting and kicking took me out of the action a little bit.
Great. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Looks like we have time for one more. If you have time, Chris.
Thanks. 2 quick ones. One, you were on the team when Coughlin ran in his touchdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what did you see when you saw that? I mean, you thought I could do that?
I did, yeah. I don't know if you know a lot about Cogs, but he was walking around with his chest a little puffier than usual for the next couple weeks, and so it was great. The Iowa game, I was finally able to get him back a little bit.
And the last thing I got is, is there, I mean, have you done any work at quarterback as an emergency situation? I know that, and I thought about this last week when Rocky got hurt. I mean, could you potentially come in an emergency situation if they needed you to?
I'm sure the coaching staff will be able to adjust if, that were to come about. Hopefully it doesn't ever happen, but I'm sure the coaching staff will be able to adjust. And personally, I think they'd be able to get anybody ready to be put in that quarterback situation if they had the arm strength and the talent to do so.
Would you love it?
It would be interesting for sure. A lot of stuff goes through my mind at tight end already. I can only imagine what quarterback would be like.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
All right, Tyler, I know you got to get running to a meeting, so I really appreciate your time today. Thank you. Good luck Saturday.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Tyler.
Tyler.